This generation has no idea who the fuck they actually are. Let's talk about that. So there's this weird obsession with slapping a label or a term onto every aspect of human existence, and I don't think it's a coincidence that the increase in use of these buzzwords is directly in line with the increase of popularity in TikTok. Everybody and their mother knows what the app does to your brain after extended use, but nobody really talks about the aftershock of that shit. The less bandwidth your brain has, or the less capacity it has to retain information, the less effort you put into thinking overall. So when people say that there's a literacy epidemic, you look up under that and you see that it's actually just an attention span issue. Then you look up under the attention span issue and you'll find it's just a logical capacity issue. Think about it like gas in your car. Most modern vehicles can give you a rough estimate of like how many miles of range that you have based on the amount of gas in your tank, and also your driving habits too, like, you know, how hard you accelerate and how often. So if you're constantly gunning it, foot to the floor, pedal to the metal, however you want to say it, trying to go as fast as possible, even with a full tank, you are not going to get the same mileage as somebody that drives a little bit more conservatively or reserved. Okay, but what's the point of me even saying all that? It's merely a preface to the more complicated and nuanced idea of the global identity crisis that we're facing today. And I know this is going to be super controversial to say, but social media and to an extent the internet as a whole has absolutely ruined the way humans approach connections with each other. Hot take, I know. But more importantly, I think it's ruined the way that we look at ourselves. And I see it constantly, but I know y'all have seen it too. This constant self-diagnosing that people do, where someone identifies with or relates to a few traits, then they make whatever the relevant umbrella term is their entire personality for the next 6 to 8 months. Basically what I'm saying is nobody displays their true character anymore. These are cosplays and aesthetics disguised as identity. And here's my personal theory. People have become reliant on social media for so many small aspects of their personality that once it's time for them to log off and actually interact with people outside of that glass box that houses their curated personas, they freeze. Brain goes into meltdown. They don't know what the fuck to do. And instead of looking within themselves and, you know, actually doing some soul searching and figuring out who they actually are, they double down. They turn themselves into that cultivated character that they made online. And that's kind of why interacting with strangers in public feels fake. And that's why like people in general just kind of feel uncanny nowadays, because they aren't even people. They're just avatars of individuals that forgot how to be themselves. And this doesn't even begin to get into the whole phenomenon of everybody trying to be an influencer or content creator, but more on that shit later, bro. I don't even think this constant and persistent need for validation is like a generational thing either. It's more so like a societal thing. And it's so bad to the point where I think social capital is like on the verge of replacing the US dollar. And that's just simply because attention is the most valuable thing that you can have in today's society. Like with attention comes an immediate platform. That platform gives you influence, and we all know by now that influence equals power. And it's why I'm not even shocked to see rappers and streamers clicking up with presidential candidates. And just in general, I'm less surprised with the rise of like these fake personalities online or these inauthentic personas on social media, because the more perfect that you can appear, the more people are willing to listen to your voice. You just pluck this popular political opinion from here, adopt this specific philosophy from over there, mention it 1 or 2 times in passing, retweet a post with the same undertones, then you let your fans use all of that to defend your morality anytime you have a somewhat controversial opinion. But going back to that case of TikTok kind of coinciding with the rise of buzzwords, what I meant to elaborate on earlier was that I don't have a problem with people defining a certain thing that we haven't had much experience with or haven't encountered before at all. The issue for me lies in everyone redefining old concepts with these updated filler words to make it seem like it's a brand new concept or something deeper than what it actually is. And you know what? I'll give you an example. If you're a guy that's been in a relationship in the past 5 to 6 years, or you've seen like TikTok posts about relationships from the female perspective, you probably are very familiar with the term boyfriend air. It's this concept that women have come up with that is said to, and this is a loose paraphrase definition, represent the decline in a woman's appearance once she starts hanging out around in her partner's space. Now, to most normal people, that sounds like an already known concept called happy weight, aka simply getting comfortable or just letting yourself go. A normal thing that happens in most, if not all, relationships, especially within the honeymoon phase. And don't even get it twisted, I do not have a problem with, you know, the honeymoon phase in general or putting a label on that. Where it becomes twisted for me personally is when I see this term used as a tool to condemn, to blame, or to remove accountability from themselves and then place it on their partner for simply loving them. Like, how is it your partner's fault that you stop keeping up with your skincare routine? You stop going to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. You stop choosing healthier diet options. What are we doing? Just take accountability for your lack of discipline and admit that you got comfortable because you were having a good time with your partner. Like, it's not that bad of a thing. We don't have to slap this label onto it and use it like it's some sort of evil thing that is bound to happen anytime you get into a relationship. Like, do we not like each other anymore? And if it's something at surface level is not being happy with your appearance, then just get back on the same discipline that you were on before. Like, I don't get what's so hard about this. If the relationship is genuinely healthy, then a switch up in routine is going to change absolutely nothing about the connection between you two, especially if there's communication involved. But let me chill. It's not a relationship video. That one just kind of hit close to home. I'm not even finna front. I'm fairly certain that the reason people in general are becoming less accountable is simply because oftentimes accountability requires genuine self-reflection, and self-reflection is a really, really good way of shattering the identity that you've shaped. Think about it like this. Let's say you spent months crafting this idealized version of yourself, maybe not even out loud or publicly, but just in your own head. You've told yourself that you're going to stand for ABC and that you believe in XYZ. Cool. Let's say you randomly get into a debate online now. They call you out for an opinion that you stated 5 weeks ago that's completely contradictory to what you're stating right now. This is all hypothetical, by the way. Instead of putting the phone down and taking time to reflect on why you even said that thing in the first place or why you even held that belief, you decide to whip out your TikTok encyclopedia and reply with "dick eater." Because deflecting your own fallacy is easier than accepting the fact that you don't actually stand for anything you claim to believe in. And that honestly sums up the entire portion of this rant perfectly. A label is like the easiest way to feign understanding of something without actually having to think deeply about it. Like, people will put all their skill points into pattern recognition and think that'll make up for the lack of intelligence and critical thinking. But here's the newsflash right here. Nuance is everything. So remember when I was talking about the real underlying issue being a lack in logical capacity? So I did some deeper thinking, and I even went back and watched one of my videos about AI and creativity. And I came to the conclusion that the root cause of that logical capacity gap is due to the increase in demand for things to be convenient and efficient for modern day people. Hear me out. Technology has legitimately spoiled us to such a degree that even deeper thinking has to be streamlined through a buzzword filter. And to a degree, I kind of understand it. Like, time is money in today's day and age, so why spend an extra 5 to 10 minutes describing your ideal lifestyle that's unique to you specifically when you can just look at a couple TikToks and go, you know what, close enough. My entire identity is cottagecore now. And on a psychological level, this does make a little bit of sense. Like, having an abundance of labels to apply, describe any situation or thing is the most efficient tool for our brains. Like, quick thinking is what helps us as humans survive. But the funny thing is, we're not wild animals that always need to keep our heads on a swivel looking out for predators. At least not the dinosaur kind. What helps us survive quickly doesn't allow us to understand accurately. Labels do a great job at compressing complexities in the moment, but the problem is that never gets unpacked later on. People just follow the same pattern of condense, classify, continue. And I can acknowledge that not having the full picture on something can be intimidating. And I mean, sometimes it's just outright terrifying. Like, a partner is giving you mixed signals that sends your nervous system into meltdown. So your first instinct is to label them a narcissist or manipulative in order to give your brain some semblance of control over the perceived reality. Yet where I think most, if not all of us, tend to go wrong is just stopping at the label itself. Think about it like this. A label is kind of like AI. It has to be treated like a tool to assist understanding and not become the interpretation itself. Like, I think it's generally okay to label something temporarily, especially to make an easy mental bookmark of something that you observe, but it's also your responsibility to go back later on and ask yourself why. And I know it seems draining to put this much effort into everyday thought, especially when the shortcut option is to close this video, open TikTok, and let an internet therapist explain your problems for you. But the thing about advice on the internet is that it lacks every bit of nuance that applies to your life. No matter how greatly worded it is, at the end of the day, these internet therapist words are just that, expertly woven blanket statements, the true embodiment of one-size-fits-all psychology. And ironically, I think I just labeled influencer, therapist, and psych majors. So, you know what, maybe everybody's bullshitting. But in all seriousness, there are like so many factors at play here. Like elevated emotions will literally push you to look for conclusions instead of comprehension. You're too upset to even look at this person that just upset you. So why attempt to understand their actions when you can just classify them and move on, right? But here's another aspect that I don't think people want to admit. Sometimes y'all just don't want to change your mind. Like your emotions are sticky and Jesus Christ, Paul. They carry things with them that you may not necessarily want to face at the moment. And the effort to acknowledge something that you know could change the way you see a situation is more often than not greater than the effort to default to a quick judgment. I feel like it should go without saying, but a major reason we as a society even adhere to labels or adopt them in our vernacular is because of social pressure. Like if your entire friend group decided to label an argument between one of your friends and their partner as narcissistic or abusive or manipulative, and you were the only person that went, okay, but you most likely would get intellectually crucified. And in the process, you might end up getting mischaracterized yourself, since nobody bothered to unpack the label, and the general approach to the label itself is that it is the understanding. You questioning or challenging the label is like you opposing the group itself. And even beyond that example, just in everyday living, a label can become who you are without you being the one to accept or embody it. The second someone applies a label to you, either in their own head or like amongst other people, you're constantly being observed under a microscope that you didn't even know exist, because those same people are looking for things within you to fill in the blanks for their characterization. It's a classic case of confirmation bias. They will take the smallest little thing that supports their narrative that they created in their head about you and apply it to the label to confirm that they were right. And I'm telling y'all, this phenomenon runs so fucking deep. I can confidently say that 99.99% of people that have regular interactions with others do this at some point. When you look at a person, man, woman, non-binary, whatever, more often than not, you view them as one of many labels first before you see them as human beings. And I don't want to get too deep into it because I feel like that's a separate topic for an entire video on its own, but I just struggle to see the reason that humans are so hardwired to remove the humanity from each other. And I mean, we have these ridiculous gender wars going on right now, all because neither side is willing to accept the other's service on top of their humanity. Like folks want the benefit of unity without the reality of the person they're uniting with. And that's exactly why dating is so fucked up. Instead of meeting a person, we're meeting applications and resumes. Nobody is even encountering anymore because we're too busy marking off our personal checklist of ideality. And let's say a person does check enough boxes at first. This may not apply to everyone, but I think we've had enough relationships by the time we're like 18, 19, 20, romantic and or platonic, to know that people are never truly the same as when we first meet them. Oh, but what does that mean? Dude, there is never going to be a single person on this planet that checks every single little box. And in actuality, as time progresses, they may start to check less of them because humans aren't static creatures. And let's say you do find that 1 in a million unicorn that meets every expectation of every label that you apply to them. I can almost guarantee, and I'm willing to put my entire life savings on it, it's not much, but that is probably not who they actually are behind closed doors. And it most certainly isn't who they really want to be. And unfortunately, they will grow to resent you because more often than not, they're going to feel like they didn't have a chance at getting to know you or getting to date you without becoming your ideal first. I understand that with time and progression in society, language also shifts and adapts. But I think where we got lost was when we started redefining things instead of relabeling them. Like the buzzwords are being put in place of true understanding because our brains are naturally wired for efficient thinking instead of thorough thinking. Everything has to be categorized. Every emotion needs a diagnosis. Every habit, interest, or hobby has to have an aesthetic attached to it, or else you're accused of being a casual or a LARPer. And the frustration for me comes from the fact that nobody really questions this mentality at all. I've seen maybe 3 actual YouTube videos about this topic, and this is genuinely the biggest piece of irony right here. All these labels came about because people were trying their hardest to create an authentic persona. I want you to realize how redundant and backwards that sounds. People are trying their hardest to create authenticity. The whole point of authenticity is that it requires no effort. It's supposed to be natural. Like, at this point, the plot has been missing for over a decade. Like plots assume death is about to get announced on the morning news tomorrow. You people, yes, you have been conditioned by social media to think backwards on what it means to actually be authentic. And it's partially because everyone wants to be an entertainer now, but nobody wants to be themselves. Play that back again if you didn't catch it. A lot of people are in denial of the fact that they might not have the personality to entertain thousands, much less millions of people. So they look for traits that already work. They find an aesthetic that already garners attention and validation, not realizing that the aesthetic isn't what makes the person makes the aesthetic. So at that point, what authenticity are you actually providing? Because you look more like a brand ambassador for the label that you attach to yourself. I'm just saying that Myers-Briggs test doesn't mean a thing. Your astrology signs aren't a defining characteristic of who you will and won't be compatible with. And your aesthetic should only be a representation of you. No amount of curation is going to magically give you a sense of self that you agree with. That work has to start on the inside. Ask yourself questions, not ChatGPT, not TikTok, not your friends or your family. Get off the phone and go experience, go explore, go fail. That is the real key to escaping labels. Experiencing and encountering life instead of classifying it. If you made it this far into the video, I firstly want to say thank you. I hope the investment of your time gave you at least equivalent value, if not exceeding it. But, you know, if not, that's cool too. But also, I would really appreciate a comment, just sharing your personal perspective on the overall prevalence of labels in today's society. Obviously, a like and a sub would be really appreciated, but the main reason I started this channel and the main reason I make these videos is to hopefully provide unique perspectives and also spark discussions. Like, I know there's plenty of people who may or may not think the way that I do, and I just want to hear what everybody has to say. There's probably a video being recommended by YouTube right here for what they think you'll enjoy, but above that should be a video from me that I think you'll mess with heavily if you like this one. That being said, I have no further words. I appreciate you being here with me. I appreciate you hearing me out. Without further ado, I will see you in the next talk.